Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727. Great to be here. Another Tuesday night doing the Bald Show. Thanks for hanging out and waiting for the top of the show. Sorry that we started a couple of minutes late, but you know what else is new? We seem to have little issues all the time, but I think everything's working just fine. Andrew Zarian helped to fix some things in the studio last week, so it's always great to kind of see how those tweaks turned out. I think everything's working out just fine. 888-659-3727. Listen, guys, if you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I'll tell you in brief that I am a consumer advocate for men and women who are dealing with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And I'm a guy who's been dealing with hair loss for well over 2 decades. Now, if you're tuning in, this is your very first time actually watching the broadcast. If you're not listening on iTunes Radio or on iHeartRadio or on Stitcher Radio or all the, on iTunes, and you're actually watching this broadcast through one of our video streaming resources, including the GFQ network and The Bald Truth, I have hair in my head. And I understand, initially that could be shocking because I'm the hair loss guy. But the truth is, I was lucky enough to really slow down the progression of my hair loss using FDA-approved products for over 2 decades. Obviously, the main product that I use is a drug called Propecia, and I've been using that. It's almost 21 years, as a matter of fact. There's also a partial comb over and some paint in the back of my head. A lot of hairspray. That's what I deal with. But I have to tell you, I am a 49 and a half. That sounds silly, but I'm 49 and a half. 6 months, I'll be 50. And I feel effing fortunate that I have been able to kind of dummy up my hair the way that I have for so long. When I started in this game, when I started in the hair loss world, when I started dealing with hair loss, it was really the dark ages of hair loss treatments. There was really nothing out there that could truly stop and prevent the progression of hair loss. Everything that was being sold, everything that was being marketed was complete bullshit, in my opinion. And now we are at a time where there really is help out there. But even with the FDA-approved products, even with the handful of hair transplant surgeons that are doing state-of-the-art work, when you research hair loss and you try to figure out and try to navigate this $3.5 billion a year hair loss industry, you're going to find out eventually that 99% of all the products being sold that claim to stop or treat hair loss are just complete bullshit. Can't help you in any way, shape, or form. Won't help you. We are vulnerable. As hair loss sufferers, we want to help ourselves. We want to do whatever we can to just move on from this bullshit. Who wants to see their appearance erode along with their hairline every single day or worry about it? Or even if you don't look that bad, it's still very difficult to deal with the magnitude, the profound change that people go through, the physical changes when they're dealing with hair loss. It cannot be underestimated. It cannot be looked at as a non-issue, because it is for most people. Now, there are those who are able to deal with it, and, those are the lucky guys. Excuse me. There are guys who are just, for whatever reason, they're cool with it. Doesn't affect their lives in any way. But those guys are rare. That's a very rare situation. The industry wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for the tremendous burden that hair loss plays on our lives. That's the right way to express burden. I can't speak tonight. Let me give out the phone number. It's 888-659-3727. Now, if you were watching the program last week, you know that we had internet broadcasting sensation. He loves when I say that. Andrew Zarian, who is actually in studio with me, and he popped his first Propecia pill, which is pretty amazing. Now, a lot of guys, and rightly so, are deathly afraid to treat their hair loss with finasteride. And I say rightly so, it's because of all the information that's out there online about people suffering with significant adverse sexual side effects. Now, before I continue, I want to make it clear that I have no connection to Merck, the manufacturers of this drug. I have no connection to the generic manufacturers of this drug. I do not make a dime talking about finasteride or Propecia or Proscar, which is all the same. There's no money that goes into my pockets because of talking about this drug. I speak about it based on my experience. I speak about it based on the experience of those who are part of my life and in my family, close friends who have taken the drug, from the thousands of men who have contacted me over the years who have benefited from this drug. It's a story that needs to be told. Because when people look up the drug finasteride or Propecia, they are faced with an onslaught of horror stories, which I am sure many of them, or at least some of them, are factual. I do believe that there are people out there who are suffering with these adverse side effects. I do believe there are some people who, for whatever reason, they may be the anomalies, but they get off the drug and they continue to deal with adverse side effects. But the truth is, if people really did their research and looked at sexual side effects associated with other drugs, many of these same side effects occur in a greater percentage of people even during clinical trials. Not to mention, there are those who have been on drugs like antihistamines and antidepressants who believe that after they suffered with adverse sexual side effects when they were on these drugs, they believe that even after they discontinued the drug, that they continued to suffer with these side effects. Real side effects. So to think that these type of sexual side effects are isolated to this particular drug is a misnomer. Now, it's talked about, it's written about in the media, and you see it, through the mainstream media, and lawyers are attaching themselves to this because, it's a lifestyle drug. But these side effects are not just associated with this drug, and it's important that people know this. And people take drugs every day, over the counter, cold and flu medications, antihistamines, antacids that have a higher incidence clinically. I'm not saying anecdotally, clinically, of adverse sexual side effects than finasteride. This needs to be put into the equation so when people do their homework, when people do their due diligence, when people do their research, that they kind of understand that this is not just, these side effects are not just connected to this single drug. Maybe it's a combination of things people are putting into their body and they're blaming it on finasteride. Who knows? But whatever it is, these side effects occur with different medications. You need to know that. Anyway, Andrew Zarian popped his first Propecia pill. He wants to call in, kind of keep a log, talk about it every week. I'm not sure if this is him on the line or not. I thought he was originally going to try to Skype in. But I wanted to take his call first to kind of see how he's doing. Let me see if this is him. Are you on hold, Andrew? Let me know. Phone number is 888-659-3727. After I take Andrew's call, after he checks in, I will take your calls. I want to talk about your experiences with finasteride. I want to talk about your experiences with family members who may have taken the drug. It's really important because I don't give a shit if you take this drug. That is your choice. But I certainly think that people need to see both sides of the story. And no one is willing to. No one really has the courage to go out there and say, you know what? Maybe some of what's being written about finasteride online isn't necessarily 100% factual. And even if it is, what percentage of people are really suffering with these adverse side effects? That data has to be put out there. I also want to hear from people who are suffering with these adverse side effects. That's important stuff, too. We're not denying that this could happen. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Andrew, is that you?
Hey, son.
What's happening? So you decided not to Skype in?
What's going on? You know what? It sounds. I'm listening to the show, and it sounds like old school radio. You're taking phone calls. You're giving out phone numbers. So I thought I would just call in.
All right, good. So how are you? It's a week tonight since you started taking Propecia. Why don't you give people an update?
Exactly a week. It's been fine. No side effects. I've been documenting everything, which I'll talk about on a later show. Why? I'm documenting everything I'm doing. I'm even documenting my diet. I'm documenting essentially everything in my life to see what changes what. I want to keep a pretty good log of everything happening because if there are side effects, I want to know if it's the medication causing it or if it's something totally different.
Absolutely. And that's smart. I will tell you this. Now, some people may disagree, but at least clinically, if you have not suffered with any adverse side effects after 7 days on the drug, it is very unlikely that you're going to start experiencing these side effects. Now, there are those who claim online, you've read all the stuff, that they've been on the drug for years and all of a sudden they're impotent. And they attribute that to the drug. I guess that's
that's definitely not the case here.
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility, but you know what? Clinically, that just doesn't exist in the literature. I'm talking about after 5-year studies. So,
the first thing I did notice, I was at your house and we discussed this. I am peeing like a racehorse.
Well, and you know what's interesting? You actually said to me that you were having issues that you discussed this after you found this out, after you had this effect that. You kind of felt like you always had to go, and you weren't really voiding well. It was like you always felt like you had to go. You went a little bit, and then you had to go again.
Yeah.
So now you're voiding completely, and you're feeling like pretty good down there.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. That was the first thing that I noticed. That was within like 2-3 days.
Now, that's an interesting effect because, I'm not saying that you do have any type of, and you should check with your doctor, you have any type of benign prostate hyperplasia, but you do take other medications that could affect your bladder and could affect your prostate to some degree. So it's possible you were having these issues, maybe because of the antihistamines that you take, at night and whatever that can cause kind of weakness of the bladder or problems with urination. This may have cleared it up, which is interesting. So you definitely...
I think this is going to be an interesting journey because every week I'm taking a photo of my hairline. I'm taking virtually the same exact photo. I've taken 2 already. I took it the Tuesday that I was at your house right before I took the medication, and I took it this week. It's still too soon to see any kind of progress. I can't really tell if my hair is not falling out at this point or if it is. It's still too early, but... I don't want to feed into any, the placebo effect of the positive and the negative right now.
Right. No, absolutely. Listen, basically, I'm glad you're documenting it. It's very important. I think you're going to help a lot of people, whatever happens. You can document it next week and all of a sudden you can say, holy crap, I don't know what's going on. I'm not feeling well. It's unlikely. And the reason I'm saying this is just the years of experience that I've had with this drug, usually the onset of side effects. Whether it's testicular pain, things like that, which you actually experienced before you started taking the drug, happen pretty rapidly, more rapidly than most people realize. If you've been on it for a week and everything is functioning perfectly fine, it is totally unlikely you're going to have any.
With, things now were functioning or any kind of pain down there. That's that it's not happened.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. I'm really happy for
I'll
you.
tell you though, you want me to, you want to know how people could feed into this.
Yeah.
And let's, I'm going to give a con right now, right? I'm going to give one of those phone calls or one of the things that you see online. I got new knives. My wife bought new knives.
Yeah.
I was using the knife and I'm trying to cut a piece of, fruit, like a lime.
Don't tell me you did the upside down knife thing.
I did the upside down knife.
You're going to find that on one of these sites, the upside down knife thing.
I'm telling you. And you know what? If I wasn't on the medication, it would have been, oh crap, I got new knives. Because I am on the medication, you know what? I even thought, and I'm educated with this stuff. I even said, oh crap, fog brain.
Now I have brain fog and I'm holding the knife upside down.
Brain fog. Yeah, I'm holding the knife upside down. So it's very easy for that to happen, even to people that are experienced with this and have some sort of knowledge on this medication. The other thing we need to remember is I'm young. I'm 30 years old. So I shouldn't have a history of any kind of erectile issues or performance problems or any of the slew of issues a lot of these men are having.
Yeah, but the thing is, most of the guys that are complaining about it online, honestly, are as young as you, if not younger. There are guys who are 19 years old who believe that the drug ruined their life after taking one pill. There are guys who have been on the message forums who are out there, and they read about it, and they're so afraid to take it, and then they take it, and bingo, the side effects happen to them. And I'm not saying they're not real because, listen, if it's happening, it's real. If it's happening, it's real. Now, what percentage of these guys are suffering from psychosomatic effects and what percentage are suffering from actual side effects? There's no causal data. We just don't know. And I do know from personal experience, if you think about, and this has nothing to do with finasteride, but if you think about not being able to do it, you can't do it. Even the slightest bit of adrenaline will make you soft. That is the way that it is. That's just the way that it is.
You're watching TV and something happens on the TV while you're doing it. That'll do something,
Absolutely. Or you're like your mom calls or something.
My mother calls. What do you want me to? I mean, that's it. It's over.
It's over.
Especially if my mother's calling.
No, but I mean, and this is, and I want to make this clear to every person out there who is listening to this show who is suffering with either what they consider post-finasteride syndrome or have suffered side effects while they're on the drug. We are not denying that this can happen. But the facts are the facts, and as far as the causal effects are concerned, we just don't know what those facts are. And sex is it's a very odd thing, man. You could, for instance, premature ejaculation. We now know, or we've known for a long time, that basically that's more of an anxiety disorder. So you would think, well, how can premature ejaculation be an anxiety disorder? Well, the more people think about premature ejaculation, the more premature ejaculation happens. It's just the way that it is. So sex is controlled 100%, for the most part, by the mind. Obviously, there's physical attributes as well, but the mind triggers everything when it comes down to downstairs. So that's why it's such a difficult thing. And, Andrew, I'm glad that you kind of went into this with an open mind and understood, what the reality of the situation is. And I think that
you have, for years now, I've been telling you that I want to go on the medication, and you have not told me once to take it.
I told you not to take it.
You told me you don't take it. That's what you told me. You said, don't take it. You're okay right now. But if you're going to take it, don't go and read the message boards.
That's exactly what I told you.
Don't feed into it.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you, like right now, I'm fine. It's a weekend and I'm okay. And, there are people, you're right, there are people that claim that they're having these problems within a couple hours. They're having all of a sudden, I just read something the other day where this guy claimed that he went through some severe shedding within a day.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. But, there are people who've taken... What about the guy that called in last week that took one dose of the drug and suffered with adverse side effects? And, he seemed like a really sincere guy. And I'm not saying that that's not the case. They're the guys, and they pop the pill, all of a sudden they have gynecomastia. They have pain or swelling in their pecs, in their breast area after one dose. And there are guys that have actually written on message forums and written us just in the last few years. I've gotten these things that believe they have irreversible gynecomastia after one dose. Now, I don't know. I mean, is it possible? I mean, I can't imagine it, but I guess maybe it is. But I also know, just dealing with people in this industry for so long and dealing with so many sufferers over the years, that the mind plays tricks in us in ways that most people don't truly understand. And I'm talking about even some reasonable guys who have called the show over the years or have contacted me. And eventually, when you kind of like spell things out, they're like, you know what, you're right. It was in my mind. Now,
and
again,
it could play in the opposite side too. I mean, you have guys like Steve Jobs that are going to other countries to get cancer treatment, and they're honestly thinking that it's working, and they're thinking they're feeling better, but they're really not.
That's true.
So the pro and the cons and the pros. It's whatever you want to believe at that moment.
Look, I just think, look, we this is the reality of the situation. It's 2014, and this is what we have. We still have finasteride, we have dutasteride, we have minoxidil, we're going to have bimidprost. We have platelet-rich plasma therapy when done by certain individuals out there. It seems to be getting good results. You have low-level laser therapy, low-level light therapy that that people believe is helping them. But to me, even with all the so-called clinical data, I still think that most of that stuff's anecdotal. However, I'm more open-minded now because I've been seeing some more results come in, but I still don't know. We still can't recommend it through the American Hair Loss Association. And honestly, that's it. This is what we have. And we have a handful of guys who are doing great hair transplants. If people can't deal with that reality, then you're going to go bald. So just shave your head and move on. If you're unwilling to try what's out there today, or of course, hair systems, what's out there today, then you might as well either try, you got to figure out, you got to come to terms with this, that this is it. This is what we got. You did not want to go bald. Now, you still might go bald, Andrew. I doubt that you will because the drug works. The drug works on, about 86% of the guys that use it, according to clinical trials. And you started young and you have a lot of hair still. You're just starting to miniaturize. So the odds are very high that you're going to be able to reverse that process and slow it down considerably. But just like with any other medication, it might not work for you. Now, I'm just saying that judging from looking at your hair characteristics and seeing that you've taken it, you actually took it before without any adverse side effects, but you took it for a short period of time.
I took it for a month, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably going to be a good responder. Most guys are. You look at a guy like Artista, who is I think he's 56 years old. He avoided taking it. I think he's going to be calling the show in a little while. He avoided taking it for years out of fear. Okay, and what he saw was his hair loss continued to progress, and he was unhappy. He had to wear a hat all the time. He took it at an older point, an older age where, sexual dysfunction is a lot more common. And he's having no problems at all. And if you look at his images today, he has much more hair. I mean, he's been on it for what, 12 months or 14? I forgot the exact time. Maybe it's 2 years now. Much more hair than he had when he started. And he's in his 50s.
And you think about what this guy could have kept, what he could have saved.
Well, yeah.
If he had gone on the drug, 10 years ago.
Yeah, so to me, I think people are doing themselves a disservice by not considering it, speaking to their doctors, speaking to people who have had positive experiences, learning about the reality of the drug, and kind of not focusing on what's happening on the internet. I do think it's important, however, that they are provided with all this information. That's why I keep reiterating that. It's a possibility. People are suffering out there. It is very real. There are organizations that have been formed for post-finasteride syndrome. There are podcasts that are out there for post-finasteride syndrome. And you know what? I got to say, if it happened to me, I would be doing the exact same thing. Now, I probably wouldn't be, trying to bully people or threaten people or whatever it is. Not saying that all these guys are doing it. Some people are doing it. But I would want to educate people. I would want to spearhead a campaign just like some of these guys who are spearheading very effective campaigns are doing. So I can't blame them. I think that information is important. It's actually important that you have that information, Andrew, as well. But
listen, I'm going into this not picking a side in it, and I went on the forum, I went on Bolt to Talk, and I was reading about the results of some people. And some people are claiming, they've had a horrible experience. And then you have other guys, like a 20-year-old kid. You showed me his post. This kid was losing his hair significantly. I mean, significant thinning in the front. And within 14 months of being on, 1 milligram of finasteride, I mean, his hair is unbelievable. And he's a 20-year-old kid.
It's life-changing, yeah.
The reality is he was emotionally affected enough to go onto a forum and talk about it. That takes a lot to begin with. Number two, this kid could have said, you know what, I'm on the forum. I'm not going to go on this. I see the complaints. I see what it's doing to people. I'm not going to try it. And you know what? It's probably a year later now. God knows how recessed his hairline would have been.
Well, I mean, it was very recessed. I mean, he was like significantly bald at the age of 20. Now he has what most people would consider to be at least visibly full-looking head of hair.
Visibly a full head of hair.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is life-changing. Now, my experience was, obviously, I didn't allow myself to progress to that point before I tried something. But, it was progressing. It was getting worse and worse. I was really miserable. And to me, even if in 10 years or whatever it is, I'm diagnosed with some sort of a disease, which we don't know will be related to the drug, if it'll be related to the drug or not, I have no regrets, man. This drug changed my life. I became a best-selling author because of this drug. I've been on the radio for almost 17 years doing this show, and now online because of this drug. I met great people in my life. I've been able to help a lot of people. I've been able to create an entire world for myself and for others because of this drug, because it worked for me. So, to me, it is absolutely a miracle. And there are millions of people out there who believe the same thing. On the other side of the coin, there are guys out there who believe the drug ruined their life, and I understand that, but same goes for any other drug that people take, antibiotics. I mean, I remember I was actually put on a very strong antibiotic for a very mild infection. I was reading about it, and basically the antibiotics, it was causing people to have like brain damage. It was killing people, causing them to have tendon issues, ripped tendons, stuff like that, after being on it for a very short period of time. Now, it's a relatively small percentage of people who suffer from these side effects, but they're very real, and it's a pretty big compared to side effects of other drugs. I chose to get off that particular antibiotic and go on to something else based on that. But, all these drugs that were prescribed have these issues. So people just have to realize that. And you know what? If you don't want to save your hair, if you're unwilling to take a chance, which I understand why you would be, then just shave your head, move on, stop spending time in the forums, don't listen to the program, and just figure out a way to live your life. You didn't want to do that, Andrew.
No, I did not want to do that. I want to keep my hair. And some people want to keep their hair, and some people don't care about it. I just had a discussion with somebody the other day, and they said, well, if I go bald, I don't really care. I'm just going to shave my head. Okay, that's phenomenal. But in the same breath, he's telling me that he's thinning, and if there's anything he could do. And then the second I bring up, well, you could take Propecia. He's like, I don't want to take a drug.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the first thing he said was, well, how much is it?
Yeah, you know what, Andrew? I find that so fascinating that people would be concerned about the price of the drug when, I mean, I don't know who this guy is, but he probably goes out drinking and spends $100,
Sure, yeah.
hanging out, or just goes out, whatever, to dinner and spends that money. When they can spend money on a drug that will change your life. I mean, what did you continue to question? Well, right now he's probably okay, but what happens if he actually does lose his hair? How do you think he's going to feel?
Well, he's thinning, and I was questioning. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Okay, I want to know why you're questioning. He's like, well, it's like $100 for. I'm like, well, the name brand is $100. You could get it for like $35 if you really wanted to get the generic. And he's like, oh yeah, but I got to take it every day. I'm like, but listen, you're going to keep your hair. You're obviously affected by it because you're asking me about your hair. And then he goes, well, I don't want to take a medication. But he's asking me about hair transplants.
Right.
In the same conversation. So let me get this straight. You don't want to take a medication that could potentially stop your hair loss and possibly grow back a significant amount of hair.
But you'd rather have surgery.
But you'd rather have some guy cut your head open, take hair from the back of your head and implant it to the front of your head. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you put it that way. It's people's perception. Again, it's that's a risk too.
It is a
A
risk.
hair transplant is a significant risk.
Listen, I'm looking at the chat. I mean, look, Ron Knights, Brian Monroe. Listen, Ron, I get it. You accept your hair loss. That's fucking awesome.
And that's unbelievable.
You
That's
win.
great.
You win. And same with you, Brian Monroe. You guys win. But you know what my
I
job?
want to know what Brian's sodium intake is on a daily basis.
I need to know. He's got to have probably about 20,000 milligrams of sodium a day.
Because it looks unbelievable.
I need, I want him to do it live on the air. We're going to check his blood pressure. That's what I want to do. But, these guys. What'd you say? Say it again?
My arm just went numb.
Your arm went numb. Your arm or your junk?
My arm.
Oh, my. That's it.
That's it.
That's the first side effect. Look, I'm reading Ron's thing. Listen. The bottom line is these guys win. Guys who don't care about their hair loss. My job is really to help guide people who do care, because most people do care. And you know what happens to the guys that do care and don't have the right information? They get fucked. They get screwed. Yeah. They get taken. They become disfigured. They take these
we're not talking about guys that are going and, like guys that don't care and or they do care and they do nothing. We're talking about guys that care enough to go and do the wrong thing.
That's right.
And that's the problem.
That's right.
I have a very close friend, which and the guy sat down and he told me how he ordered this Brazilian whatever. It was like a drop.
Right.
And he paid $400 for this elixir to drop on his head, and he's telling me that he read really good things about it. And my response to him was, if this thing worked, don't you think it's a cure? He didn't even say, he's like, well, this thing is supposed to cure hair loss. I go, if this thing was curing hair loss, don't you think it would be on the shelf of every store?
And besides that,
don't you think every doctor would be giving this? Don't you think it would be on the front page of Time magazine?
Just check the American Hair Loss Association. Very simple. Check with the American Hair Loss Association. If the goddamn product worked, it would be on the front page of the website. And frankly, if the product worked, there'd be no need for the American Hair Loss Association. That's what people actually. It's funny because people actually believe that there's some natural concoction, that helps with hair loss. And what's funny is they don't put things into perspective. They're not like, well, wait a second. I see millions of bald guys walking around. They must not care about their hair loss. Otherwise, they're going to use this Brazilian tree bark and treat their hair loss.
Well, you know what it is? There may be. I mean, here's the reality of it, right? So the same guy, he finally got the thing that he ordered. He paid like $400 for it. It was like a bunch of crap in there. And I go, let me guess, it's minoxidil, right? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. You know what that is, right? He's like, what? He goes, that's Rogaine. He goes, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. Yeah. It's Rogaine. You just paid $400 for Rogaine with a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. A lot of women are taking advantage in this industry.
It's crazy. It's crazy how crazy. I mean, it's worse for women than men, really.
Well, it's worse in many ways for women than men because women it's very difficult to treat. Really all they have is minoxidil. They can't take finasteride unless they're postmenopausal, and that's even questionable. The drugs that are currently used to treat female pattern hair loss or AGA, you know what? They're moderately effective for some women. A lot of women get on it and they're stuck on it. They get on like a low androgen index pill and they stay on it just because they want to. They're told that it's going to help regulate their hormones and help with their hair loss, but you really don't know if that's making things worse. And then they're stuck on this birth control pill that's screwing up their hormones for it could be more than a decade. And they're put on spironolactone, which is it acts as a diuretic. It's also it affects your hormones, and it's a low blood pressure medication. And they have minoxidil. I would say for most women cannot effectively treat their hair loss. That's a terrible thing to come out of my mouth because I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, and there are women out there that want to be helped and that listen to this program. They may not call the program, but that is the reality. Now, I do think that, now that I'm speaking about women and what they can do, that platelet-rich plasma therapy has been shown to be effective for women when it's performed, in a certain way. That could be beneficial. Some women are claiming that low-level laser light therapy helps. But for most women who are really stuck with that gene, they end up wearing hair. that's truly, in the end, usually their only option. And there's a lot of doctors out there that do not want me to say that. There are doctors who are actually part of my organization who pay us, screening fees that are probably not happy with me saying that, but that's the truth. And that's all I got to say about that.
It's scary out there, so you're
is.
right. I mean, go to the American Hair Loss Association and follow. Go there.
Yeah. And listen, I want to thank you, man, for doing what you're doing. I know. Listen, you want to do it for yourself, but the fact that you're going to be calling, I can't speak, going to be calling in, updating us. The fact that you're going to be doing what you're doing with the updates, and I won't get into the specifics of that, but the fact that you want to document this, I think it's going to really help a lot of young guys out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna announce something within 6 months. Let me get this in order, and I'm gonna talk to you and get some advice from you on how I should do this. But I'm planning on doing something pretty cool for guys that are, interested in this and to see results, see real, accurate results on a weekly basis, pros and cons.
Right.
You see a lot of guys go on the forum and they'll say, well, you know what? I took it for 3 days and I had a pain in my left testicle or my right testicle and I was done. Or the guy says, well, it didn't work for me and I stopped it after a couple of weeks. Well, I want to do a long-term, journal of what this is like for me. And it may be, it may bring a lot of hope to a lot of people, or a lot of people will look at this and say, wow, I was right. This thing ruined lives.
Right. It's very possible.
We don't know yet. As of right now, I'm going into this thinking it's going to work well. I'm hopeful it's going to work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm going to give a totally unbiased opinion of this, and you're going to see the results.
Well, but here's the good news so far for you. 1 week in, no adverse side effects. Again, based on all of the information that I have, and on intimate knowledge of what goes on in physicians' practices. You're one of those guys who aren't going to be affected by the side effects, so that's great. You're past that. There are guys online that will say that's bullshit. It could take 2 weeks. It could take a month. Clinically, that's the case, and also, according to most of the guys that I've spoken with who prescribe this drug on a daily basis, if it doesn't happen relatively soon, within the first week, they just don't see it happening in their practice. So, congratulations with that. What?
Let me just say, a lot of people I've met said this to me. And someone in the chat said exactly, I was going to bring this point up, but I forgot. He goes, Andrew isn't losing his hair, so how is the drug going to work?
Ridiculous.
It's not about bringing more hair back or losing it. I have thinned. I'm a 30-year-old guy. My goal is to prevent it from further thinning.
This is what people... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Or to bring back some of the hair that's thinned out. The miniaturized hair is still there.
What people don't understand is, especially people who may not be losing their hair or who have lost so much hair that they forgot what it was like to start losing their hair. It has to start somewhere. It took years for me or for people to actually agree with me that I was losing my hair. Years, at least 3 years of significant loss, shedding every day, realizing that I couldn't keep my hair as long as I used to, realizing I had to start to wear more hairspray in order to maintain the full style that I was able to have without anything in my hair. Those are all signs. Those are all signs of miniaturization. Those are all signs of hair loss. And if people just don't get that.
You told me one thing.
Yeah.
You told me one thing when we first met. And I said, what's a good sign that I'm losing my hair? He goes, the hair in the front is not gripping. It's not clinging on to the other hair.
Right.
And in the front of my hair, that's the hardest part to kind of style because I have all these strays falling forward. And that's because the hair is not gripping, and it's a different texture to the hair.
Well, that's the first sign of miniaturization, especially if you're dealing with a receding hairline, is that initial change. All of a sudden, you're like, wait a second, why isn't all the hair combing back in a uniform way? Why is it not gripping, like you said? Why are these stray hairs? Because those hairs are miniaturizing, and the thicker hair is, still behind the miniaturizing hairline. So they're not connecting well. So you have to use more styling products. That's a sign of hair loss. And even if you as an individual, didn't really notice a bald spot or severe recessed hairline for another 5 years, it's still, you still want to try to avoid it before you notice that. And that's what
Exactly.
that's
And
what
that's the
guys don't
point.
get.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, you want to, if all these guys in the chat, there's maybe 70 people in here, except for Ron and Brian, because they're totally comfortable with their baldness, which is amazing. But these guys that have struggled with hair loss, if they could go back in time, where let's say they're 20, 25, and they're just starting to notice their hair loss, you're telling me they wouldn't try to prevent it from happening?
Well,
They all would.
I think a lot of people.
If most men knew what was going to happen at the end, they would start it immediately.
Look, I think a lot of people, even in my life, I was kind of poked fun of. I had to start wearing hairspray at a young age. I had a slight comb over in the back at a young age. So when you're 24, 25 years old and you are dealing with that, it's, people goof on you. And then they started to bust my balls about trying to treat it. And they were just like, what's the big deal? These guys did not have any hair loss. And now some of the guys decided to treat their hair loss, but many years after they started, so they can never get, that full-looking head of hair again. And, many of my peers are just like, you were right, dude. You were right. I had no idea. One guy is now a complete Norwood 6, chose not to treat his hair loss, didn't want to take a drug. Now he's asking me what he can do. This is after 20 years. Now he's like, he's recently divorced. He's going back on the market, and he's concerned about his appearance. It's too late, dude. Now all you can do is get a transplant or wear a hairpiece. Those are your options. You lost option number 1, which is early intervention. That's out the window. Andrew, man, I want to thank you, man, for the call, and I'm sure everyone's excited to see your progress.
Yeah, and I'll be listening, and I'll be, post every week when you're doing the show. I'll call in, I'll give a little update on how it's going, and in a couple months, I'll make my big announcement of what I'm planning.
Awesome, and and maybe what you can do also is you could bring us some hair loss news every week, like that other dude.
Oh, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could start doing. I could start slurring and start doing hair loss.
No, I'm gonna have to produce an opening for you now.
Andrew from Queens.
All right, man.
That's it.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right, take care. Phone number is 888-659-3727. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm also going to take more phone calls when I come back. But I do think it's really important that people understand just the importance of having an open mind. I don't think hair loss is the end of the world for everybody. I think that, if you can deal with it like Brian Monroe and walk around with complete confidence and buzz your hair down short and live your life, that's the best way to be. That's the easiest way to live. That is a winning attitude. Brian Monroe is a winner when it comes to this. And so is Ron Knights, and so are so many other guys who just don't give a shit. You guys win. I wasn't equipped to deal with it at a young age. I didn't feel good about myself when it was happening initially. I don't think that I would love it now either, because I've been shaving my hair for so long. I think it would still screw me up. So this is why I do what I do. So when people are out there saying, what's the big deal about hair loss? Why talk about hair loss? You know what the big deal is? The big deal is it's a $3.5 billion a year industry for a reason. And it's not because Spencer Kobren has a hair loss show. It's because the entire country and the world is concerned about their appearance. And hair loss for many men and women can be the most devastating detractor for a person's appearance. A complete game changer for them. And the lives that are changed, the lives that are never really, reach their full potential because of hair loss, it's a pretty vast number. All you have to do is think about Joe from Staten Island. He is on that end of the spectrum. He is that guy who has allowed this to completely consume him and destroy just about every aspect of his life. Triple 8-659-3727. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The man who's helping to make hair loss history.
They wish to cure us.
but I say we are the cure.
It's Spencer David Kobren.
888-659-3727 is a toll-free phone number for the show. Feel free to call us with any questions or concerns you have about hair loss. If you just want to vent, if you are considering having hair transplant surgery, or maybe if you've signed up to have hair transplant surgery, you're going to sit in the chair tomorrow. This is the time to call. Do you know there have been people over the years that have called the program who had surgery on a Wednesday or on a Thursday, who after listening to us decided to, change their tune. They would have made the wrong decision. I have no problem giving you my honest opinion about any physician out there, whether they're in the IHS or not. Now, to make it clear, just because someone is not in the IHS does not mean they're not doing good surgery. I may never have heard of them. They may never have applied to the organization. But there's a lot of people that are going to wake up tomorrow morning. They took time off. It's around Christmas time, so maybe they're going to be using their Christmas vacation for this. And they saved their money, or they financed a $20,000 hair transplant, and they're psyched they're going to change their lives. And tomorrow, by the end of the day, their lives will be destroyed because they made the wrong choice. Maybe because they tried to save a couple of bucks. Maybe because they didn't take the time to do their research. Maybe because they just happened to see the first ad on a search engine and said, I'm going to go for this, or an infomercial. And these poor souls are going to be stuck paying for that financed hair transplant for many years, and they're going to be miserable. Every time they write that check every month, they're going to be reminded, can't speak, of the debacle, of the disfigurement, of what they had to deal with. Doesn't make a difference, so they're still going to have to pay. And that happens more often than you think, so please be careful out there. Phone number is 888-659-3727. All right. Got a couple of choices here. I'm going to take line 4. Let's see who this is. Hey, you are on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Spencer, it's Vic from D.C.
Vic, man, how are you?
Hey, doing great, man.
Happy Hanukkah to you. I know you're not Jewish, but whatever.
Well, happy Hanukkah to you.
Thank
Don't
you.
you guys get to open 8 presents?
Well, not in one night, but
Not
yes.
one night, right.
Yeah. We're supposed to get a present a night, but as an adult, that doesn't happen with me anymore. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for Andrew Zarian to send me my Hanukkah present.
Well, I think it's great that December, pretty much every religion gets to open up gifts. And, one of my old buddies was Jewish, and he used to, I think, celebrate it pretty, religiously, and he'd have a gift every night. And he ate this traditional Jewish dish called matzah. Are you familiar with that? Or
Yeah, of course. It's unleavened bread. That's what basically, when we escaped from Egypt, there wasn't enough time for the bread to rise. So as the story goes, the bread was taken out of the oven before it rose, and that's all you had was this flat bread. So in that tradition, we eat matzah.
I got to tell you, it actually tastes pretty delicious. And but anyways, this is the hair loss show. I got to save that for the free for all.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the free for all. But I like matzah too.
And so, anyways, I'm just tuning in right now. I actually got off work, so I haven't heard the first part of the show. But one thing that I did hear you say right before when I called was how this show has helped a lot of people with making the right choice. And I gotta reiterate that again. I was one of the people who was helped tremendously by this show and yourself to make the right choice. And you know what? One of the best things that happens when people do their due diligence, like you say, is it gives them time to come to terms. And it's amazing that the forum on your website is I mean, you allow anyone to have a free speech. I mean, that's amazing because, sometimes other websites don't allow that. So, it's really...
This is what we do allow. We don't allow defamation. So if someone's out there just to try to destroy someone's reputation, unless they're able to prove that they were either had surgery performed on them or that they're a real person, they're willing to provide their identity, whatever it is, that won't be allowed. Free speech is a different story. People kind of confuse having the ability to defame somebody or to try to destroy somebody's reputation or to try to threaten people, for instance, online, which happens on forums all the time. They kind of see that as free speech. That's not free speech. But if they want to voice their opinions about products or in a respectful way, products and treatments and, whether they would go for FUE or FUT or whatever it is, as long as it's done in a respectful fashion, of course that's allowed. That's what the message forums are all about.
I think it's wonderful that, because, sometimes even though my deal is nowadays, once a week I tune in on Tuesday nights to follow your show. And other than that, I might once a month or so check out the forums because it's interesting to see all these guys sometimes, cross-communicate and stuff. They all have their valid opinions. So, but for me right now, it's gotten to the point where since you've helped me move on with my life, I tune into the show as a form of therapy and relief. And listening to it, here's the thing: it's like, let's say, if I think of you as basically my hair loss coach or my hair loss counselor or psychologist, it's like I get to tune in for a free 2-hour therapy session once a week. And I mean, that in itself is amazing. It's like I can think of myself as a healed patient who tunes in for therapy, and that in itself is like a huge bonus. I mean, everyone knows that you wrote the books, and you don't have to be on air if you don't want to. You're doing this as pretty much out of compassion for us.
I appreciate you saying that, and the fact that you brought up that this is free, and that I'm going to tell you a brief story, and I'm also going to tell you what I plan on doing in 2015. I was contacted this week by a company that wants to pay me $1,500 a week to promote their product. It's not a hair loss product. It happens to be a skin product, but it's geared towards men. They were willing to sign a 1-year contract. They came at me. So basically, it's like $75,000 a year, and all I had to say was that I used this product and it changed my life. It's supposed to be a stem cell based skin product. And I asked him, I said, why would you make this type of an offer? I didn't show you any numbers, whatever it is. He's like, we're watching the program. We see the visible numbers that you get, and we want to be connected to a person like yourself. And I said, well, I never used your product before. It doesn't matter. We'll give you the product. You can say it worked, whatever it is. To try to make a long story short, not that I don't like money. And it's even beyond the ethics issue because this is a skincare product. How bad can it be? I just didn't feel like reading an effing ad every week and talking about my skin, telling people how I'm glowing. And, yeah, it's good money. It's $6,000 a month. Who in their right mind would turn that down? But go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Spencer. That's a lot of money because for the common folk like myself, that's a yearly salary. And,
it is. It's more money than the average person makes in a year.
I just wanted to say, that's a lot of money. Okay, please go ahead.
No, but yes, it is a lot of money. But there's besides the pain in the ass and having to deal with them and saying, well, throughout the year, if they're saying, well, we're only selling these many products, can we have a break on the contract? I don't want to deal with any of that shit. That's not what the show's about. I am able to earn a living without filling this program with ads. I'm able to earn a living without, I've been lucky enough never to have to sell a T-shirt, never have to sell a mug, never have to sell, any products. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I've been lucky enough not to have to do that. I don't have to have affiliate links. I don't have to sell man grates. I don't have to sell, shit that you see on podcasts and online shows. Now, I'm glad that, there are shows that are able to do that. That's great. That's not what I want to focus on. What I want to do for 2015 is, I am a big supporter of the Wounded Warriors Project, and I am thinking I'm going to be contacting them, thinking maybe what we'll do is we will put something on the Bald Truth website and maybe our other websites where listeners and users of our resources, they could contribute to this incredible charity. And if they really want to support what we do and they really appreciate what we do, you know what? Let's support our wounded veterans. That's what I want to do for 2015. And I think that is a vital cause. So you said something interesting that you are able to tune in for free and enjoy this. If you have a little extra money in your pocket, you want to make a one-time donation to the Wounded Warrior Project through our website, which we're going to figure out how the affiliate thing works. We won't be making any money from it. That would be a good idea.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, that's really, really amazing. And Spencer, you deserve to be successful because you truly do give people back a whole lot. So God bless you, Spencer.
Well, dude, I really appreciate that. I want to wish you a happy holiday. I'm so glad that you're doing well and that you're not fettered by this, disease of the spirit anymore, and you've kind of moved on with your life.
I have moved on, but I will always tune into your show. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. You take care.
All right.
All right, take it easy. 888-659-3727. And guys, podcasters, don't write me about your affiliate links. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've just kind of figured out a way to make a living without having to sell ads and without having to do affiliate links or sell T-shirts. That's just it. And you know what? There may be a day when I really do want to sell out in a big way, but it's probably not going to be for a skincare product for $6,000 a month. I'll let you know. Maybe if a company offers me $200,000 a month, I'll say, you know what? I'm going to start doing ads for this company, and you guys will know why I'm doing ads because they're paying me $200,000 a month. I mean, that's obviously a hypothetical. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hey, man, you were on the air. Who's this? Oh, dude, you were on hold for 22 minutes, and you hung up? All right, guys, I'm going to take some more calls. 888-659-3727. But before I do that, this is just an idea that I've had. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm pretty sure I don't see why the Wounded Warrior Project wouldn't want to be involved with what we're doing. But I'm sure there's some way to just, set up something on the site where you guys can contribute. Right now, they have a monthly contribution of, I think it's $19.95 a month, which would be incredible. You're going to be helping people in need. I do think it's kind of sad that there had to be charities formed to take care of our wounded veterans. And I think the government should really be taking care of them in a way that is, well beyond what they're currently doing now through the VA and through other resources. But I'm glad that there are charities like this that do exist. But I'm pretty sure there's different options where you can kind of just like do a one-time donation or you can do a monthly donation. I know some of you guys, for some guys, $19.95 a month, a commitment like that is a lot of money. So I don't expect you to do that. But if you are a fan of the program and you are being helped by this show, give something back. I'm not asking for your money. I don't want your money. Frankly, I don't need your money. Don't mean to sound obnoxious, but that's just the way that it is. And like Vic said, I do this because I enjoy doing it. I love speaking to you guys. I want to get the truth out there. I know this is a very emotional topic for many hair loss sufferers. And, when you just read shit in print, when you just see stuff on the internet, I could just sit back, run the forum, and I don't even run it. I have the forum, have my organizations. The books are still selling. I can just write another book if I want, which is always on the table. I never have to get behind this mic again. I could do something more fun. I could do it about more of a fun show if I want. But it's important. It's important to me. I love hearing your stories, and I love hearing stories like Vic's. A guy that was considering having an FUE hair transplant. He really wasn't a candidate. And he was just adamant about it initially, and I had to talk him out of it. It took a long time. But now he's in a place where he's able to step back and he's being helped. Now, I was going to take a break. I'm going to try to take this phone call. Let's see if it goes through. If not, I will take a break. 888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? All right, dude. Do you want me to hang up on you, or do you want to speak? All right. 888-659-3727. Interesting. It's a familiar number, by the way. So I don't think I'll be taking that line up again. Guys, give me a call when we come back. I didn't take a piss on the last break, so I got to take a piss. So I'm going to take this break. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us.
The winner of 7 prestigious Golden Forehead Awards.
My family's always arguing. It always starts off innocent and then it gets vicious right away. So I was like, hey, looks like you're losing some hair. At least my wife's not a whore.
Spencer David Kobren.
Guys, thanks for sticking around. 888-659-3727. Just got a slew of texts and emails about the Wounded Warrior Project. And I'm glad you guys are into it. I hope that you guys sustain this enthusiasm. These guys have sacrificed their lives for our safety and for our freedom. Anyone who says that this isn't the greatest country in the world just doesn't understand how this country operates, the freedoms that we have. The ability for a guy like me with a limited education, a learning disorder, a movement disorder, some may say with a questionable relationship with alcohol. I'm just kidding about that, by the way. To become successful in this country, just with my balls and my wits. That's it. This is the greatest country in the world. And for all you Europeans who are watching who may not believe that, I'm sorry. It's my opinion. 888-659-3727. Let's get to the phones. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Jesus, lots of hang-ups tonight. All right. You know what? I'm going to wait for a number that I might recognize. I'm going to hang up on this guy. 888-659-3727. So, Ron, what is it that we have in common? Besides the good looks and the hair loss, what is it? You should call in and let me know, because I'd be very interested in hearing that. But listen, this is what I believe. I sit here behind this mic. I've been able to be an entrepreneur from the age of 24. I've been able to work for myself. I've been able to create what I've wanted to create, because this is what this country allows. If someone says you can't do something, and the people that have said that I couldn't do things in my life, I was just like, why not? Of course I can do them. There's no laws against it. No one's tying my hands behind my back. No one's not allowing me to have this opportunity. If the opportunity isn't there, we're allowed to make that opportunity. For all of you guys who are sitting there, and I like to talk to the guys in the message forums who believe that they're completely impotent in their lives. Sometimes when I read the forums and I see that, they say they can never afford a hair transplant, or they can never afford the treatments that are coming down the pike because they're too expensive, and the greedy pharmaceutical companies and the greedy doctors. Man up and work. Figure it out. Figure out a way to make a living. No one handed me shit. I sit here and I do my thing. I answer my own phones. In my own office, people who contact me are shocked that I answer my own phone. I do every aspect of everything that needs to be done in my business. And I know every aspect of my business. I know I'm going off on this rant, but I think it's important, and maybe I'm ultra patriotic. It's Hanukkah. I don't know what it is. And the fact that I'm a Jew, for crying out loud. And I still made it. Well, people don't understand that. There are people out there that think Jews own the world, but we're really a tiny part of the population, and we've been, I don't want to get into that, but we've been, pretty screwed and hated, and weren't allowed to have jobs and all that stuff, and it still happens to this day. That's why we've got to kind of create our own careers. So if you talk about racism, let me tell you, try being a Jew. Anyway, I just think that anyone that's out there that can't make a living in this country, anyone that claims they can't make a living in this country, anybody says they can't afford something, anybody says they'll never get anywhere, that is very short-sighted. That is just, the sheepish mentality. This is not the way it is. It's not reality. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. I'm going to try to take some calls. I'm hoping that these calls don't hang up. I'm going to choose, I'm going to go for a 773 area code. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Spencer. This is Dave Artista. How are you?
Dave, man, welcome. How are you? What's going on?
Thank you. I just got out of a meeting, and here I am.
Well, good. I'm glad, man. So how'd the meeting go?
It went well, quite well. How's the show so far?
The show's great. Having a lot of fun. Andrew Zarian called in to give us his Propecia update. He's doing great. Apparently, he's screwing like a rabbit. He feels really good, and he's been on it for a week, and that's actually an incredible sign, because it's usually, even though some people may disagree, side effects really start to occur those first few days and within that first week. Really? Then a lot of times they're transient if they do occur, but it's within that period of time when people start to see and feel the different changes in their body, and he's not seeing anything. So that's a really good sign. So I have a feeling he's going to get past any of those issues.
Yeah, I have a feeling I feel the same. I'm sure he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First of all, guy's a trooper. He understands the reality of it. And he's no stranger to drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So what's happening?
I've been on the forum. I've been on the forum lately, and there are quite a few people that want to know your experience with Dr. Wesley. What you two had to talk about.
All right. Well, great. I don't mind answering that. It's no major news, but Dr. Wesley contacted me over the weekend. He wanted to do a Skype call, kind of show me what was going on. And I will tell you that from the last time we spoke about this, there have been a lot of changes. As most of you guys know, initially there was going to be an endoscopic approach, and he changed that endoscopic approach to an ultrasound approach in order to see what was happening underneath the scalp. And they kind of decided to trash all of that stuff and work with something that is a lot simpler and seems to be extremely effective.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about PaleoFocus, and I think that's the way you pronounce it correctly. Some people pronounce it differently. And it is Dr. Carlos Wesley. He's an IHS member in New York. Dr. Carlos Wesley's invention. And basically, it is a device that extracts follicular units from underneath the skin as opposed to from on top of the skin. And what it basically does is it leaves no visible scarring on the outside of the scalp. Right. Now, a lot of people think, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, it's a pretty significant deal because, one of the major issues with FUE is, a lot of guys really want to wear their hair extremely short, and some guys actually want to even shave the back of their head. Even though FUE leaves, in good hands, leaves very, very small scars. Eventually, there could be a confluence of scarring once enough grafts are removed. So you will never really be able to shave your head down completely because, A, if you get any sun on your scalp, you're going to see that, the white dots may appear. And, the fibrotic tissue on the scalp can cause, some, visual issues. And I guess a lot of people think, and I've seen this on the forums, well, you're still leaving these gaps if you remove the hair. Yes, that's true. You're still going to have less hair, visible hair in the donor area, but without the fibrotic tissue, it's going to have a different look overall. And it's, it could make the process a lot more appealing to a lot more people. It could be a game changer. So basically what Dr. Wesley described to me was that now they are utilizing a very small video monitor that magnifies the scalp from the follicular units from the top of the scalp, and they are able to guide the punch device from underneath the scalp just by using this device on top. Kind of like, and I described it like this, and he agreed. Kind of like when you take a piece of paper with two magnets, and you have a magnet on the bottom and a magnet on the top, and you move the top magnet, and the bottom magnet stays with that and moves in the exact same space. It's kind of like that type of a theory.
Wow.
They're also using I think it's called negative suction, basically where they're able to take the grafts out using suction without using air. So basically they're using like either Ringer's lactate or saline and flushing it through this tube using negative suction outside of the scalp. And that not only kind of expands the graft and kind of brings it into the punch after the graft is punched out, it is then sucked through this tube, not using air, but using water. So it's always wet and moist.
Right.
That's pretty ingenious in itself. So they're making progress. They are working on patients. They are obviously continuing with their cadaver testing, and they're moving forward with this. And I think that this iteration of the device is pretty ingenious, and it looks a lot simpler. It's less bulky, and they're able to remove grafts pretty expeditiously. So it's good. It's good news.
Has he started? Maybe I misheard you, but did he start the next phase test or continue the phase test that he had started?
To my knowledge, they are continuing the phase that they started, and they are doing very small tests on his current patients. So he's not just doing cadaver tests, he's also doing tests on humans. So that is happening. Eventually that's going to grow. But I think what they wanted to do is kind of, get this iteration, get the iteration that they really want to use in the trial tested and kind of like set in stone. And I think this new iteration is, again, it's pretty ingenious. From what I was able to see, it works really well. Once you become skilled at it, the guys or docs are able to really extract grafts pretty rapidly. So it will probably be possible to do about 1,000, if I remember correctly, about 1,000 per hour. And the grafts are going to be clean. Now, a lot of people are concerned about what's happening with fibrotic tissue under the scalp. Is there going to be any damage caused to blood vessels and nerves and stuff like that? He basically figured it out. I'm not at liberty to tell you exactly how he figured that out. But
I didn't think so.
Yeah, but they basically have figured it out, and it's pretty ingenious. And, they're able to really utilize, just by using a 1 centimeter, about 1.5 centimeter slit on the back of the head, they're really able to access a really broad range of follicular units, like in a very broad range of the scalp. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's obvious I haven't spoken with him yet. I'm sure he's going to connect with me, and I too probably will see that Skype presentation.
Yeah, you can't take it personally. I mean, obviously he wanted to. I think he wanted to connect with me because maybe he felt that the natives were restless online, and obviously I have a broad base and a platform to get this information out there. So.
Right. Oh no, I wouldn't take it personal. I've got a lot of respect for him, and I understand how busy he is, and And come on, you are a person to speak to.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So what else? What else is going on with you?
Well, this is kind of disturbing. First of all, I'd like to say hello to everybody on the forum and everybody listening. And I've got some information that I have to impart with everybody, with you, Spencer.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a little bit disturbing, but maybe not. I don't know.
Disturbing, like what? Like someone died? What do you mean? What do you mean by disturbing? How disturbing can something be?
Joe from Staten has not called in, has he?
Yeah, no, he has not. Not that I know of. There was a 917 caller on the line that hung up twice. I'm not sure if that was him.
Oh. Well, he and I have had a long-term conversation, connection, for a long time now, and he shares things with me, and we talk, and I try to help him out. And, he has decided to, I'm just going to read this, okay?
Yeah.
He said at the end, "Yes, Dave, please do. I would appreciate it, and please state that the specific reasons why I am submitting my resignation. Thank you, my good friend. Sincerely, Joe."
Resignation from what? He doesn't work here.
The Bald Truth. From the Bald Truth.
How's he going to resign? How's he going to resign from the Bald Truth? He doesn't work for the Bald Truth.
Good question. Well, let me read these passages from our email correspondence, okay?
Yes.
On December 4th...
This is fascinating, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, he said, "I wish that someone would have a real radio hair loss show that would carefully dissect and review near-future effective hair loss treatments, and where the callers and host would take the time and really analyze and discuss something that I could really help hair loss sufferers, that would really help, hair loss sufferers. I have grown bored with the Bald Truth, especially, as you know," I didn't understand what he said here, but he said, Spencer's always discussing Propecia, has allegedly saved his hair. He's saying that it allegedly saved your hair. And Joe Tillman, I shouldn't say this, but lying to the audience that hair transplants could actually give a Norwood 5 or 6 a significant amount of hair.
Poor guy's really lost it, huh?
Yeah, I know. Quite deceptive, to say the least, he said. My response to him was this. Quote,
well, first of all, before you respond, I just think it's interesting, and if Joe is listening, first of all, Joe, I have to laugh. You have the ability to, you go out there, you do your own thing, do your own show. I have given you a tremendous amount of leeway, and I've been extremely kind to you over the years. Every program director that I have ever worked with when I was on radio said that, there was at one point where I was threatened that if I continue to allow Joe from Staten Island to call in, they don't know much longer they're going to carry my show. And I had to explain to him why I wanted this guy to call in, because I believed not only was this something that was really important to him, I thought that it was important for my listeners to hear just how pathetic this guy's life is because of hair loss. And I've said that to Joe on the air before, so this is nothing new. And I wanted people to see that this is one end of the spectrum that really, you think your life is bad, listen to this guy's life. And Joe knows that, and I've told him that before on the air. I do find it a little repugnant and extremely disappointing that Joe would basically state that he wanted to be involved with a real hair loss show. Joe, this is America, my man. You have the ability to go out there and start your own shit. And I wish you the best. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised too. I wish he wouldn't do this, but that's the way it is for now.
And you know what? This is filed under the category of no good deed goes unpunished.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I responded to that email. I said on the December 4th, I said, as I've said before, Joe, Spencer Kobren is being responsible not to get too wrapped up in possible new revolutionary hair loss treatments or cures that might or might not come to market someday, especially for young hair loss sufferers. If he did, then they would hold out all hope, waiting and waiting. That would be irresponsible of Spencer to do. He pushes what is available and works for today, and that makes sense, and it's fair-minded. Of course, he wouldn't really respond to anything like that. And on December 10th, he said to me, Dave, I have officially resigned from the Bald Truth. I am totally bored by the deceptions and total nonsense, unquote. And then on
Well, wait a
11th,
second. Wait a second. What deception? What
I
deception?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Joe, man, I got to say, I hope you're listening to this program, but wow, that's pretty heavy. Well, good luck, dude. Good luck. You basically just you made your bed and that's it. And again, this goes under the category. This is followed under the category of no good deed goes unpunished. I would allow this guy to call into this program, be part of this show. He would basically, when I told him at certain times, listen, I just, I don't. You should call in the second hour, whatever it is. I was afraid to hurt the guy. And we have we don't do business together. He doesn't work for this show. He was allowed to be a part of it because I believed it was really important to him. And there were times when I thought that, he would just, his life would be much different if he didn't have some connection to the Bald Truth. I'm blown away, actually.
Yeah, so am I. The deception, maybe he's responding, maybe he's talking about the things that Joe Tillman said about hair transplants. Maybe he's referring to finasteride and how he looks at finasteride. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you this, and this I'm not the type of guy to lash out, and I'm certainly not going to lash out at Joe from Staten Island. I feel that he's an unwell person, and he knows that. He's talked about that. The fact that he would turn his back on the show in this way instead of just basically not calling in anymore and writing a caller to the broadcast and having you read this on the air instead of calling in himself, it's pretty cowardly.
Yeah. I don't blame you for saying that. And it's upsetting. I know you're upset about this, and you should be. You had a connection with him for the longest time since the beginning of your show. And I don't know why he's doing this, but he is.
Go ahead. I want to hear the rest.
Everybody, I'm just reading documented facts, everybody.
Yeah. No, I'm interested in hearing the rest. We can close the door on this. It's 2015. And we can move on and actually have a good show instead of allowing Joe to drag people down. You know how many times, like, even, I don't want to mention, I'm working with Andrew now, everyone, Coco, it's just like, why do you let this guy call into your show? You know what? I must have been out of my mind.
Especially, as I've said before, for the youth of our community, they have to live for today. They have to be taught. They have to be influenced to live for today and use what's available today. If you keep talking about possibilities upcoming, maybe, they're going to wait. They'll wait, and they'll suffer even more.
Look, I don't know what he wants to talk about. I mean, it's ridiculous what he would want to talk about in this program. And I've allowed him to do it. Great. He said he wanted to do like a spot for the news. I created an opening for the guy. Fuck it. Whatever. It is what it is.
He said on December 11th, I am delegating you as my representative on the Bold Truth to announce live on the air to my millions of fans that I will no longer be appearing live on the Bold Truth. My answer was, if that's what you really want to do, okay.
Are you kidding me? People are going to be dancing in the streets. Do you know what's happening at GFQ headquarters right now? Holy shit! Andrew just popped a bottle of champagne.
Oh boy, wouldn't it be nice to hear some people call in to see, to share their thoughts on this?
Well, it would be, but I don't think anybody really gives a shit. But go ahead.
Maybe not. But yeah, it is disturbing. It's sad that he would allow his hair loss and whatever to affect him like this. I just don't understand it. I've been trying to talk to him about this, and I've been dismissed. So whatever.
You know what? You have to there's a time in life when you just have to kind of like separate yourself from people who are exhausting, from toxic people, from people who you just can't help. It's funny, and again, I would do this for anybody. I really would. But I think the last straw for him was that I didn't hop to it to get him involved, to speak to Alan Bauman about his laser cap. I mean, he actually called the free-for-all to talk about that. And I basically ripped him a new asshole. He didn't like that. But you know what I did the next week? The next week I called Alan Bauman. I'm like, listen, give this guy a laser cap, a $3,000 laser cap. You know what Bauman said? Sure, whatever you want. Absolutely. This is what I like to do. I like to document his progress. We don't have to show his face, whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, that seems reasonable. Contacted Joe. He said, no, thank you. Doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Then he said he was willing to pay $3,000 for the cap. I said, you know what? It's a lot of money. If you want to try it, start off with this laser helmet. It's cheaper. It's supposedly as effective, and it'll save you a lot of money, and I wish you the best of luck with it. He thanked me for that, and I wished him happy Thanksgiving. That was it. And then during that conversation, during that email correspondence, he said to me, thank you so much, Spencer, for your help. I just want to say that you did send me to Dr. Bob Bernstein, by the way, even though I sent him for a free consultation, and Bob would have helped him for free. And he said that he thought that Bob Bernstein was delusional because he just wanted to remove his grafts, and said that he had DUPA, wanted to remove his grafts, and said that he thinks he would be better off if he would just kind of live his life as a bald man. Because Joe didn't agree with that, he somehow thought that Bob Bernstein gave him bad advice. And now, years later, he's bringing it up to me as though I somehow put him into harm's way.
Wow.
What a piece of shit.
And he claims that he is a hair loss expert of the bald truth. He said that many times. You know that.
Listen, whatever he is, he's not a stupid guy. He's able to research like anybody else. I mean, he's totally into it. As an expert, I don't know how much of an expert he is. He's an interesting guy. He's entertaining, and I think that he, sometimes it was fun to listen to him when he brought stuff to the table. And I was more than happy to allow him to do that. That's it.
Yeah. And Joe. And I know Joe's listening. I just want to reiterate that he did ask me to state the specific reasons why he was submitting resignation.
Right.
And that's why I read everything.
I appreciate
he wanted me
that.
to, and that's what I did, Joe. So don't be mad at me again.
No. And you know what? Joe shouldn't be mad at anybody. And you know what? I did call him a piece of shit just now. I don't really care. Honestly, I don't think you're a piece of shit, Joe. I think that you're not well, and we've discussed that before. I feel sorry for you, but I only wish you the best, man. And that's the truth. I only wish you the best. I want nothing but good things for you, Joe. So if you're listening, you need to know that. I'm very disappointed in the way that you've dealt with this. I think you could have been more of a man and contacted us through the show, or even sent me an email.
Yeah.
However,
he could still call in.
He could still call in. However, I certainly respect your decision. And frankly, if I could be honest with you, it's a little bit of a relief for me, knowing that, you took it upon yourself to leave. I don't have to feel bad if something, goes wrong in your life and, you're not a part of the Bald Truth, because I really believed that it was so important to you that I was kind of concerned about just cutting you off. So I want to thank you for kind of freeing us.
And I also want to say to Joe that I don't want him to think that we're trying to make fun of him. We're not. We're just talking about what's happening.
I'm not making fun of him. I've never made fun of him. That's the thing. You know what's funny about Joe is that he gets pissed off at Andrew or other people they think that he's being made fun of. He comes on, he talks about crazy stuff like chicks with cranks. He talks about all this nonsense, and he doesn't expect people to comment on it.
Right. And I don't know why he's so critical on Joe Tillman. Joe Tillman is a great guy, and he does talk facts and figures. He doesn't.
Joe Tillman
to-
is a fucking rock star in this industry. Joe Tillman
He's
has done more for hair loss sufferers than Joe from Staten Island could ever dream of doing. And I'm
That's
sorry,
true,
Joe.
Joe.
You've been a fun contributor over the years, and obviously I made you an opening, and we've become friends. Supposedly, I guess we're not. But no one has helped. I mean, you can't even hold a candle to what Joe Tillman has done for people in this field.
Yeah. I just don't understand how he could have been so critical towards Tillman. Why? I mean, Tillman's been very, very objective in his approach.
Not only objective, he's been extremely gracious to Joe. So has everybody else on the air. So has everybody else in GFQ. And so have I. Listen, I had a couple of drinks in me, so I'm going off a little bit. But the truth is, I swear to God, I really only wish the best for Joe. I have nothing but good memories from the guy. From him calling to the show for the last 17 years. But I agree with him. It's time to move on, and I think that maybe he should do his own show. That would be awesome. I would love him to do his own show. I would even call in.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
I would even call in. Joe, do your own show, and I wish you the best of luck.
That's a positive note on that. Yeah, Joe, if you've considered it, you should do it.
Yeah, but don't try to utilize my resources to undermine what I do. That's all I'm saying, Joe. Do it on your own. I've given you enough. Your millions of fans come from this broadcast. The fact that you were written up and you're in PBS and in the New Yorker and Good Morning America and written up in every magazine across the country and in other magazines around the world is because of this broadcast. So everything that you think that you have is because of your connection to me and to this show. And it's sad that he forgets that.
Yeah. Why that is, I don't know. Well, it's mental illness.
It is. Ron Knight says we're feeding his ego. Ron, I'm just, honestly, you know how difficult it is to do a show? You know how many guys who actually have the wherewithal, money, and talent have tried to do a hair loss show that have failed? It's almost impossible. I can't even believe that I'm still doing it.
Well, you're the man for it. You do a great job.
I know you're on my side, Ron.
Yeah.
I know you're on my side, Ron. I appreciate that. So, listen, anything else? We have a full board. Obviously, people want to call and discuss this. I can keep you on. Certainly. I can keep you on the line, for sure.
Please do. Yeah.
All right. So let me. Hold on. Let me make sure that I keep you on. If I hang up for some reason, call back. I don't think I will, though.
I'll call you right back.
Okay.
You're going to keep me potted up. That would be fine.
You're potted up right now. Let's see. Let's see who this is. All right, let me take line 3. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hello, you're on the air. Who's this? Caller, you're on the air. All right, let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Yeah, this is John from Michigan.
John from Michigan. How are you, man?
Pretty good. Yeah, I was just calling in not to talk about Joe, but
good.
Since you are talking about him, yeah, I enjoyed having him on the show. It was always fun hearing him talk. But honestly, Spencer, you've done a lot for me. I've never met you or anything, but just hearing you talk every week, whenever you have the broadcast, makes me feel a lot better about my situation.
Oh, man, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, even if, we don't have cures, we at least have you, and that means a lot.
Well, it means a lot that you said that, so thank you.
Yeah. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Explain my situation.
Sure, go ahead.
So basically, I've called in before. I called in, maybe a year and a half ago.
All right.
I'm I'm an above average looking guy, and it kind of, it's been really slow. I'm 25 going on 26 right now. Probably started losing my hair when I was 18. The first person who ever mentioned it was my prom date. And I had such thick hair everywhere else that it never even crossed my mind. Like when you start losing it from this one side more than the other.
Yeah, that's how it happened to me as well.
Yeah, so she kind of pointed it out. She's like, well, your hair's kind of weird. And I was like, all right, yeah,
That's
whatever.
nice. That's nice of her. How old?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
We were 18.
Yeah.
We were 18. It's whatever. I brushed it off my shoulder too. I didn't care. I was like, all right, that's just the way it is. But I've been trying to move on. And it's even every year it's affected me more. With the opposite sex. Not the fact that I can get a female, but it's like having a girl spend the night, or another girl that I was kind of seeing that I was going to go do jujitsu with. She wanted me to come out. She's really big into it, and I don't want to go because I'm afraid. I use Topic, so it's like I don't want to go and have my hair brushed or
I know, man. Listen, I dealt with the same stuff, especially at your age, and I really pushed myself. And like I said, and I think I thank Budweiser and Jack Daniels for that. But I really did. I really did push myself to go to the bars and to meet women and to go home with them and to hang out and do what I had to do and get past the whole worrying about them putting their hands through my hair and worrying about the makeup issue. And it was tough. It's really tough. There's a guy I used to call the show for many years who is in his 50s now. And he was once a male model, extremely good-looking guy. And he kind of stopped living life. He's been able to dummy up his hair. He still apparently looks like he has a full head of hair. But he's chosen not to allow anyone into his life. He hasn't been intimate with anybody in years because he's afraid to allow, to be discovered that he's pulling off the old Shambooey. But meanwhile, he's miserable. He's depressed. He's alone. I mean, he's great looking. But, what does that do? You're kind of like, when you're intimate with anybody, you have to kind of open up. It's just the way that it is. And if someone freaks out because you're trying to do something about your hair, you can tell them, well, listen, don't you wear makeup on your face? Are you wearing a push-up bra? What about your nails?
I understand what you're saying, but I feel like it's different when you're 40 or 35 saying that to the female that you're going to marry versus being 25 and you're talking to someone that you're just about to date. And the girl doesn't understand why she can't come over and spend the night.
How old do you think? Oh, you're right, but how old do you think I was when this was happening? I was your age.
And you opened up to us.
I opened up to everybody. And that's probably why it was easy for me to do what I do, to go public and talk about hair loss, talk about painting my head. And I would bug people. I actually dated women where they would kind of get sick of me asking questions about my hair. And they were like, it looks good. Stop worrying about it. Because that's how open I was about it. But that allowed me to live my life. That allowed me to screw and have fun and meet people and do my thing. Even though I was still neurotic about it, I opened up about it. And I'm not saying it's easy to do because people do look at you sideways and women don't understand. But, there are some pretty sensitive girls out there who, once you sit them down and kind of discuss your situation with them, even if they're young, they're going to get it because they have their own concerns. They have their own insecurities.
That's true.
So I know it's hard, dude. It's difficult. I mean, how do you say to somebody that you paint your head? That's tough. But what are you going to do? You're going to be a recluse?
No, you got to live your life.
You're right. And when did you start? When do you remember the first time ever telling a female that you do this or
I do actually. I started to screw this chick who lived up in Yonkers. It was a real hassle. I lived in Manhattan. I had a car at the time, and she wanted me to stay over. And at the time, I had to apply my meds at night, and I had to tell her. I said, "Listen, I'm using this stuff." And back in the day, it was a hand concocted minoxidil formulation that you woke up, it looked like you had baby powder on your scalp. So that was when I explained it that night. I went to her house even before we started to do anything. I'm like, I showed her what I brought with me. I was like 26 years old. So it wasn't easy, and she sat there. Didn't make a difference. I mean, this girl was in love with me.
You know what? I'm gonna have to man up and do that at some point in time because it's that's the worst part about it. You know, like having to like live. It's almost like living a lie. You know, like I've been watching like Dexter.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like living like that.
That's
you know?
actually interesting that you would make that comparison, but it's funny, and I get what you're saying. That's an interesting analogy. It is that way, and you know, to me, it's like, all right. When I tell people, and I'm on the air, obviously I'm almost 50 years old, so when you look at me, you're like, well, this is what he does for a living. It's easy for him to talk about it, and it is what it is. But it's freeing to talk about it, and I'm telling you, you know, you don't know what they're going to say behind your back. You don't know how they're going to talk to their girlfriends about it. But if you end up continuing to sleep with them, you know they like you, and they know that they're able to get past that. And imagine how free you'll be.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you're so right. I just have to man up and kind of get that, you know, that first conversation, my first time admitting it to another female.
And let me tell you, dude, if you man up to this is nothing to man up to, because you're going to find out in life you're going to have to man up to a lot of shit. This is nothing in comparison. This is, you know, I mean, this is. You know, it's like apocalyptic for a young person to have to deal with this, you know, and to have to man up to this. But as you get older, you're going to realize that was just one thing you had to kind of overcome, compared to some, you know. Hopefully, it's the worst thing, but usually that's not the case. So give it a shot. You know, meet somebody that you really don't give a shit about. You just want to F, and give it a shot.
And just
practice.
That's exactly.
Yeah, and if that person has an issue with your hair, who cares?
Yeah, but she won't. The thing is, she won't. If you're good, you said you're better than average looking. If you're a cool guy, once you get past that, listen. I know guys who have had to tell and young guys who had to tell their girlfriends that they were wearing a piece. Think about that shit.
I couldn't even imagine doing that. Like I don't think I could do that.
You know what, honey? It's a wig. This is a wig. Imagine having to say that to somebody. You know how many people have to have that talk? You wear what? You wear a little Topic or Dermatch?
You know what? My hair's longer than it. Like every year, it's a little bit longer, and it. You know, honestly, like it looks better now than it did when I was 16. I had a full head of hair because I think about it more and I spend more time on it.
Yeah.
You know, I probably spend 25 minutes on my hair in the morning. It's not a whole bunch of Topic. It's not a lot. It's just to cover up anything that could slightly look like it's going through. Like, you know, like I can see my scalp.
I get. What's your name again?
John.
John. Listen, John. I want you to do yourself and do me a favor. I'm not going to ask you to promise me this, but I'm hoping that you can make this happen. I want you to give it a shot. I want you to go to a bar, however you meet women that you want to screw, and hook up and have that talk. Just get loaded and do it and have that talk and call the show and let us know how it goes. I guarantee you it's going to go better than you think.
I have to agree.
You know what? I'll do it. You know, it'll help out so much. And, you know, another thing that I think you've mentioned before, too, is like, you know, I go out to a bar, you know, and maybe a girl looks at my hair and she's like, you look so cute if you just had, like, one of those haircuts off, you know, and you're just like, fuck. You know,
I got that all the time, man. I mean, I remember girls would used to say, you know, wow, you would be so, you know, you're handsome. You'd be so much more handsome if you cut your hair this way. And I'm like, I don't need to hear that shit. You think I want my haircut to be this way?
Exactly.
You know?
Like, and it just kills you because you go home, you're like, fuck, you know, I just wish I could be like my buddy so-and-so, you know, who just doesn't give a fuck, you know, like he'll shave off the side of the hair one week just to, like, be funny and be cool. And I wish I could do that. I can't do that.
I mean, this woman, I'm actually at the edge of this bar, the bar that I used to hang out at all the time, and she comes up to me. I didn't even know her, and apparently she felt I was attractive, and she put her hands, like, through the sides of my hair, and she was a little drunk, and I'm literally, her hand almost stuck to my hair. I had so much hairspray on. And
I use a shitload of hairspray too, but yeah, go on.
And she kind of pulled it out, and she's like, wow, that's a lot of hairspray. I'm like, yeah, that's what I need to achieve this look. And then she kind of, somehow I made her laugh when I said that. And you know what? That was it. Had her. And it was an awesome night. And that's just the way that it is, man. You got to just be open about it, because in the end, you know, after you bang the chick and after you hang out with the girl, it's just like, you know, your looks, while they're still important, they actually become a lot less important than, you know, her feeling comfortable, her enjoying herself, her, you know, being able to introduce you to her friends, her family liking you, all that stuff, you making money.
That's right. I'm talking about before that. You know, when you're leading up to wanting to spend the night with a girl, after you sleep with her maybe for the first time. You know what I'm saying? When that, like, trust,
Yeah.
like, I'm not afraid of, like, being in a, you know, like a 2-year relationship and telling the girl that, like, you know, this is what I do.
No, I get
She
that.
knows me.
I get that. I get that. It's that initial talk. It's that initial, you know, staying with her, showing her, you know, like waking up in the morning with your crazy, you know, flock of seagulls head of hair after all the hairspray.
Exactly, yeah.
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 You just warn them, man. You just tell them, sit them down. You know, if it really bothers you, and it does, sit them down, because that'll be alleviated the next morning. And you know what? You're going to see her looking at your hair, and she may even comment on it because you mentioned it. And just say, look, you know, this has really affected me for a long time. I'm doing my best to deal with it. So far, things are looking pretty good, but I don't know if I'm going to end up going bald or whatever it is. But this is how I kind of get through my life. And I'm telling you, she's going to open up with something else.
Spencer, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to call the show back, and I will tell you how it went.
Listen, John, I wish you the best of luck, man, really. Just live your life. Do your best. I know it's hard, but do your best to live your life. Don't be Joe from Staten Island.
Yeah, please. Very far from that. But
Good.
I have a couple more questions.
All right, we're going to, all right,
Just
real
really
quick, yeah.
Okay, so I use Propecia. Like, I take like 5 milligrams once every 2 days, and I use minoxidil 5%. I was thinking about bumping it up to 12.5%. Do you think that would be any good or any better?
12.5% minoxidil solution?
Yeah.
You know what? I used much higher concentrations of minoxidil. I used to get 15% from the Dominican Republic years ago. I have to tell you that I didn't ever, on a personal note, I never saw any improvement. And I kind of think that it might be overkill. I'm not a physician. But the thing about minoxidil is it really acts as a Band-Aid anyway. And to kind of up your dosage when you're not sure if it's really doing the job. I mean, do you think it's helping you in any way at this point?
I honestly thought it did more than Propecia. I didn't ever notice the effects of Propecia until I started using minoxidil, and that's when everything kind of like the shedding kind of slowed down. And then now it's picking back up. It's been picking back up for a year and a half. I haven't noticed that much difference in my hair,
right?
You know, objectively. But, you know, I just want to be able to control it.
I think that, you know, you could talk to your doctor about it, but it may be worth the shot. I mean, if you really believe you had more success when you were using it synergistically or when you added minoxidil. The thing is, sometimes when you up your dosage, you can actually throw yourself into a more of a shed once you screw with it. So, I mean, would you be able to deal with that? I mean, is the shed really that bad at this point, or is it just kind of consistent?
It's just consistent. It's been consistent for the last year and a half, you know, like it was slowing down when I put in minoxidil for a year, and then it picked back up, and it hasn't really slowed down at any point in time. It's not ridiculous, but it's considerable shed.
I mean,
but it hasn't like
I think
my hair hasn't like been out completely.
If you up your dosage, you have to be prepared to kick into a heavier shed. You just have to be prepared for that. It may, you know, you said that it kind of stopped things for you right away, so maybe either you're caught in an anagen phase, or that's the way your body reacts to minoxidil. So maybe upping the dosage or the solution, the percentage of minoxidil, might be beneficial. It's a tough call because in most cases, just from the phone calls that I received over the years and the correspondences, usually when someone goes that high, they go through a tremendous shed.
Mm.
So, you know, you may be one of those guys, you may not be. So it's hard. It's hard for me to say go for it.
And I don't want to take too much from you. So I'm gonna go to my next question.
Unless go ahead.
The next thing is I know you use Derm Match, right?
Yeah.
So I've tried it, but it never sticks to my scalp. I don't know. Like, do you do anything? Do you have that problem? It just doesn't like stick to your scalp.
I don't have the problem. Maybe because I'm greasy. I don't know what it is, but I do know. I mean, do you wet it?
I wet it and then I just kind of rub it in there until it gets like black. You know.
Well, I
like,
tell you,
try to.
I actually use it dry, and and then I put some hairspray on, and it's never come off.
Wow.
So I don't wet it. I don't do it. I don't use it as directed. I actually use it dry, and I kind of like put it out throughout my hair, and through the part line, and then once it's completely covered, and I feel comfortable and it looks relatively well blended, I throw some hairspray on it, and I never see it on my pillow. I've never had a problem with it.
Huh. I'll try. Yeah, I'll try it dry.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, but thank you so much. Disregard anything that's like offensive that Joe says. Like this is, if you'd ever talked about a future treatment, the show is more than, more than enough to help people like me.
Wow.
You do tremendous work, and I've never met you. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so glad that we've been able to help you, and thank you for saying that. All right, man, and let us know. Dude, go out, have fun. Try what I told you to try. Just open up a little bit and see what happens. I'm telling you, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And if not,
all right.
tell me too. I'm curious.
Will do.
All right, man.
Spooky too.
All right, take care. I'll run the show for another few minutes because we have a full board. You can certainly hold on, Dave, and let's see who this is.
All right.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello? Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
How do we know who you're talking to?
Because you're talking to me.
Oh, Spencer.
Yes.
This is Ron Knights. How are you?
Mr. Knights, I am quite well. How are you, sir?
Not bad. It's just that since I can hear you talking through the whole show, I never know if you're talking to me or somebody else. So.
Well, normally there should be kind of like a little static sound when the phone picks up. Did you hear that?
I might have.
Yeah. So what's happening? What do you think about this whole Joe from Staten Island debacle?
How's that for a good response?
That's a good response. It's nice to hear calls like John, and the truth is, I believe me, I know that. What Joe from Staten Island thinks is really irrelevant to how the show is run and how people react to the program. The vast majority of emails that we get are from guys just like John who just want to thank me for what I do. They want to thank me for having a place to listen to other people's stories, to listen to me, to listen to my story, and to have the possibility of calling and asking questions and just talking about the reality of being a hair loss sufferer, not what's happening in the future. Yeah.
Hey, Spencer?
Yeah.
How old is John? I missed his age.
I think he said he's 25.
Oh, he's 25. Okay. He's relatively very young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they get it. The young guys get it. But yeah, people in the chat room are like, R.I.P. Joe from Staten Island. Jesus. Be nice, guys.
And they're also saying, hey, Ryan is on.
So what's up, Ron? What do you want to talk about?
You know what? The big thing I wanted to throw out is I've been a GFQ network fan, I don't know, for a couple of years or so. I lose track. And this is the first time I've really had a chance to speak in person to any one of you. And I just decided today was going to be the day I was going to watch your whole show.
Well, you know what? I'm honored that you decided to watch the entire show since you're such a big fan of GFQ and call the ball truth to break your virginity. I think that's great.
Ooh, at my age, I think that part was over quite a few years ago.
Yeah, but you forgot about it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about it. That's right. I seem to remember something about passion or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'm 64 years old. People out there, I make no bones about letting people know what I'm going through as a senior citizen, going bald, cutting my hair off in front of the camera on YouTube and all that.
Well, I think what you did was, A, it was hilarious. because you looked like you were loaded. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But it was a drunken haircut, right?
Oh yeah, that's what
Yeah.
That's what it is. And haircut.
So I think it's great.
I was getting ready to move back to Minnesota from Maine, and I had been divorced from my wife for about 10 years, and I saw her once just before I was leaving. And I got all upset and got drunk and did a drunken haircut video.
Yeah, Artista, you got to see that. Well, maybe you should post that in the chat room.
I'll have to re-up. I took it down before I moved to Minnesota for some stupid reason. I'll have to upload it again.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was a little long though. If you're going to re-up, I would suggest you edit it down a little bit. It would be even funnier if it was slightly shorter. Make it about 4 minutes, and get to the highlights.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah, but it was awesome, dude. It was awesome. And you know what? I love the fact you are obviously everyone in GFQ is a character, including myself and Andrew and Coco and everyone that watches and Brian Monroe. But it's great to have this family, and I absolutely appreciate the fact that you watch all the programs and that you don't even care about hair loss and that you're calling into my show. I'm honored.
Well, the thing is, for me, over the last 2 years, I've dealt with things like going toothless for a year.
Yeah.
And now wearing dentures, but living around a bunch of old people, I just fit right in with the crowd.
Right. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Oh, no. It's a liberating experience for me to go through this when I'm living around a bunch of other old farts.
Right. But you're not that
it
old.
Really is. I'm fucking 64. Oops, that didn't get you in trouble.
No, it's okay. You're 14 years older than me. So what's that? So when I hit 64, it's over?
No, hell no. Just got to wind up and maybe go a little slower.
And how old are you, Dave?
I'm 56. He's 8 years older than me.
Yeah. And Dave's got he's got a young wife, and you got how old are your kids?
17 and 15.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a whole life there, man. You're an old man. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's interesting. Since I've moved here, I've been here now since September, because I came here to be closer to the rest of my family. You see all those old ladies lined up to see me coming in the door and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll have a social life after all.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, old broads love me. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'd say enjoy yourself. But Ron, listen, we're gonna close up shop.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you for calling, and I'm glad that I know you give me shit every once in a while about not being a sufferer and stuff like that. But I also know that you understand what I do, and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and I appreciate what you do, man.
I appreciate you appreciating what I do, and Dave, man, I want to thank you for calling and providing that.
You're welcome.
That incredible intel. That incredible information actually it's not intel because Joe told you to say it.
Yeah. He asked me to do it, and I thought it best to do it. Yeah.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to wish Joe from Staten Island the best of luck. It has been a pleasure having him on the show. For the last 17 years. But I agree with him. I think it's time to move on. And I wish him the best. And Joe, you always are free to email me anytime you want to call into the show, but you got to be nice. You're welcome to call into the show. But I definitely think that this is going to be good for the Ball Truth, and it's going to be good for Joe from Staten Island.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Say hi.
Yeah.
Hi, bye, real quick to everybody. Spencer, Andrew, Brian, all you guys.
All right, Ron. Listen, have a good night. Happy holidays, man, if I don't speak to you.
All right, Ron.
Take care.
Hey, Spencer?
Yes.
I had text Bopman. I asked him to call in. I don't know if he is or not.
No, there's nobody on the line. And people in the chat room were saying, Spencer, I feel Joe should have one more chance to clarify. Joe has all the chances in the world. He could write me. He could have called the show.
Yeah.
No one's not giving him a chance to clarify. But this is it. Joe, he can call in. Like I said, he can say hi every once in a while. But I definitely think that he made the right decision. This is not the show for him.
Right. he wants to focus only on future treatments, on, you know.
I think he should write a book. He should write a book. He should write a book about future treatments.
Yeah.
He should concentrate on doing something for the sufferers. If this is what he's compelled to do, and he thinks that this is vitally important, then he should do it.
But you have explained many times over why it's not a healthy thing to focus on that all the time, every day.
That's exactly right.
Future treatments and possible cures, because then everybody holds their breath waiting.
Look, it's a very small aspect of what we do. People can talk about it. They can call in to talk about it. We can have, discussions on the message forum. I don't mind doing interviews and stuff like that. But we know what people want to talk about. They want to talk about their feelings. They want to talk about, they want to ask questions about what they can do for themselves right now. We had John, this 25-year-old kid, that wanted some help.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I think I know who this is. I'm going to take this call, guys, but I do have to wind down to like 5 more minutes, all right? Do you want to hold on, Dave?
Great.
All right.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Is this who I think it is?
I am shocked and dismayed to hear that someone that you've been working with, quote unquote, for such a long time has turned on you. That just does not happen in this industry. What the hell's going on?
Isn't that a shocker?
I'm so happy that Joe called in. Joe Tillman.
What the hell's going on?
Isn't that a shocker? I'm not, and obviously, I know you're being sarcastic, but the truth is, apparently Joe has felt this way for a very long time. Now, I've heard some intel from other sources that I care not to mention over the years that Joe hasn't always said the kindest things about me, and that always kind of shocked me. But I still allowed him to call in and do his thing, and I always felt, this guy's not necessarily right in the head, and he admits it. He's the first to admit it.
Well, look, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's life, man. I mean, you can work with people, you can be friends with people, and then, for seemingly no reason, they turn on you. They, two-faced, say great things to your face, but say bad things behind your back. I mean, you know how it is, right? And it's unfortunate. And
what's funny? I've never ever said a bad thing about Joe from Staten Island behind his back.
Yeah.
I've only said in front of him the bad stuff.
Of course. Well, that's the way to do it, right? No, but
you're straightforward.
Normally I would be of the opinion of, well, there's two sides to every story, but apparently Bautista had specific instructions to tell this to you on the air. And Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm so glad that you did call in.
Yeah, well, I was trying to call in earlier, and it was busy, and I heard Spencer say on the line, there's no one on the line anymore, so I thought, hey, this is my chance.
No, I'm glad you're calling too. I was more insulted the way that he spoke about you, Joe, than what he said about me in the show. Honestly,
I didn't hear that part. What was he saying?
Oh my God, that you had a little dick and that you were short and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. He basically said that you were a liar about what you promote as far as hair transplantation and some other stuff. What did he say, Dave?
Yeah, basically that's what he was saying. That he was. If you want, I could reread it.
Yeah,
that's Spencer. If you got time,
real quick. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, when I finish this beer, I'm out of here. That's all.
Okay, let me look it up. I've got the paper here.
Oh, by the way, I only have 5 minutes. I just got the high sign because Andrew has another show. So just go ahead, real quick.
Okay, Joe Tillman allegedly. Let's see. It's always Spencer discussing how Propecia has allegedly saved his hair.
Allegedly saved my hair.
Yeah, and Joe Tillman lying to the audience that the hair transplants could actually give a Norwood 5 or 6 a significant amount of hair. That's quite deceptive, to say the least. That's what he was saying.
Okay, well, fair enough. He's entitled to his opinion, but the
Well, he also
been-
said that he knows more about hair loss. He's helped more hair loss sufferers than Joe Tillman has, and that's when I went off. That's when I went off. Joe from Staten Island cannot even hold a candle to Joe Tillman, and I honestly, and I will say that, from now until eternity, Joe, and this is not just because you're on the line. I said this before. You have helped more hair loss sufferers than Joe could ever imagine helping.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Joe
But
has always been fair-minded.
The thing about what he's saying about my position on Norwood 5 and Norwood 6, he's always said that you can't get, I think what he said in the past is that you can't get a full head of hair, and I've always agreed with him.
By the way, we have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I have to do a hard out because Andrew has to do something.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Right.
But I think significant amount of hair is relative, right? I mean, for him, it's a full head of hair, like literally a full head of hair, 1-to-1 density of a full head of hair. For most guys out there, it's going from really bald to not being bald and having enough hair to style. That's what it is for me, a significant amount of hair.
Right. I agree.
And so,
but I can guarantee you this:
Joe's position has always been a relative issue.
When the cure does come, and when it costs $500,000, I can guarantee you that Joe from Staten Island is going to contact me and ask me if I could help him out.
True. I believe
if he actually believes it's a cure.
True.
Because there is that side of him.
And you know what? And the sucker in me would probably help him out, the poor guy.
Well, because that's the kind of guy you are. Not a sucker kind of guy, but you're just a nice guy.
You call me a sucker? All right, guys, listen, we got to do a hard out. Joe Tillman, thank you so much for calling. Dave Artista, thank you for the incredible news. 2015 is going to be an awesome year for the Bald Truth. And I hope you continue to be a part of the show, and we will help a lot of people.
I will.
Okay. All right,
Joe,
guys.
It was great to hear you. All right, Spencer.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Good night, Dave. Good night, Spencer.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, guys, we got to get out of here. Let me give out the websites. TheBaldTruth.com, of course, for archive broadcast of this program. You can check out AmericanHairLoss.org to check out the American Hair Loss Association. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, don't forget to check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. And if you want to interact on our message forum, check out baldtruthtalk.com. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.